Alright, what is popping? Today we're going to do a breakdown of the Way Too Deep remake I did. This is based off of a snippet that came out ages ago, back when the Amy's Grave music video first came out. If you haven't heard it, it's just at the end of the Amy's Grave music video. There's also a couple Instagram Live snippets that he did. So I started with the Instagram Live snippet, which was longer and had a longer intro, and then went into the Amy's Grave snippet to build up how the actual mix sounded, how heavy the bass was, all that stuff, just getting more specific with it. Let's dive right into this. I should give you the introduction as to why this looks the way it does. All of this is bounced out because my computer couldn't handle the processing. A lot of that had to do with the organ. It's really processor intensive, apparently. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. My computer couldn't handle it. All right, so the first thing we started with was the organ. This is what his sounds like.
Don't wake me up, I'm way too deep.
And this is what mine sounds like. So as you can hear, his is really distorted. It doesn't have much attack to it. Isn't very dynamic, so it's all really crushed. I was able to get the distortion and the actual sound of the organ and the chords right, I think, but that lack of attack and like really no dynamics was really hard. I couldn't really figure that out. I couldn't get rid of that first percussive thing. It just comes in a little too hard. However, it's pretty close. The way it works is, so Logic has a native organ plugin. It's awesome. And I know Aries is a big fan of it, as in I've seen it in a lot of his videos. I've seen him start with the Oakland organ before, and that was actually pretty close to the original, and it sounds like this. It actually starts with the percussion on. So you can turn on and off the percussive things at the start. You can play around with the distortion. All of these things are super adjustable. This is like messing with the harmonics basically. And it took me like 2 weeks to get this sound right, just because of how many variables there are in this organ. Down to the rotor cabinet as well. Like watch this thing right here. You can like crank it up to a crazy speed. And then you can turn it down to a complete break. It's sick. I'm pretty sure I had it at break. I turned off the percussion. I turned down the percussion time. Something with this mic processing as well. A lot of EQing, secondary distortions. I think just Logic stock distortion plugin did the trick. And then we had our organ after like 2 weeks of playing around with that. This is as close as I got. The next thing was this little piano thing he had, which isn't in the Amy's Grave snippet, but is in the live. It's really pretty, and it kind of goes throughout the whole thing, and I loop it in certain places, mainly just during the hooks. Aries on his Patreon had a bunch of different sample packs he was giving. They were like little mini packs every month. We had like that classic Aries Tweet Tweet, which I'm pretty sure you can hear in Sayonara. From there, it's this kick he has, which is fantastic. Money, listen to this. You might hear a little bit of reverb on it, real little bit on everything, and just gives it some room to breathe. It also muddies up the mix a lot. You have to do it in really small amounts. It's more of a feeling than actually hearing it in the whole mix. Then we got this cymatics pack. It was a free cymatics thing. It was for Travis Scott type sample pack. That was like the main snare. This is from the Aries sample pack. This is the main hat, also from cymatics. Do a little bit of width on it with the spreader. Then I had this weird little static perk that it's just kind of a riser. It's just a little something to add a little bit of effect to it. Then we have this big perk, which is from the Aries pack. Money. This is a very classic Aries perk, and he often uses it on the upbeat there. Aries clapping his feet together from his sample pack is amazing. Actually clapping my feet together. His samples were cool too, because they always started like a little bit later, and I would often just leave it, so it added a bit of swing. In the zone, in the pocket, as they say. I don't know if it's in the pocket, I don't know how to do that shit, so it just works out nicely. Then there's another Aries hi-hat that we threw a little bit of tuning on. We had this slurp effect that's from Cymatics Nostalgia Pack that I just reversed, that I use in like everything now. It's such a nice riser, it has so much low end in it as well. I mean, most of the time I filter that out, but not this time apparently. And then this Gucci ding, which you can kind of hear in the original. It's really quiet. Just from a Metro Boomin sample pack. It was free, just on the internet somewhere. This is also from that Metro Boomin sample pack. That's just a clap that I reversed. Free sample packs do a lot of work. And then the next part, after we were done with the percussion, was the 808. Oh, this also from the Metro Boomin sample pack. I just chucked some distortion on it. This is it, the original. And then I just chuck some distortion on it. I really like that 808 pattern. That was an awesome job by Aries. And compressor that sidechain to the kick. So yeah, just threw some distortion on. I tried to make it more of a saturation effect, so I just distorted everything below 200 and just by a little bit. So it just kind of cuts out a little bit of the highs and makes it kind of like nasty. Next was the guitars. We got to build out the verse now because we have the hook. The hook is done. We added some acoustic drums on the hook as well, but you can barely hear those. Mainly just cymbals and other like filler elements, couple little snare fills. I actually don't like them that much. I just put them at the end to fill out. Logic has really good cymbals, so I love using them whenever I can, but I think I might have overdone it on this one a little bit. So Aries has been getting really into like pop punk guitars and stuff. You hear it at the beginning of the Sayonara, like that down, 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 about time. Oh god, that shit's so good. Just try to keep the guitars really simple. Power chords, a little lead melody. Power chords in the middle get a little bit more complex, and another lead melody comes in on the right. So you can hear in the left there. And then the right melody comes in here. Pretty Aries-like melodies and just power chords and shit. Those guitars, that was just... I turned on distortion on my like $100 amp and it did the job. Then Aries likes using shitty sampley instruments sometimes. Sometimes it feels like the shittier the better. Like the race car lead is crazy, just nasty, but like the way it works in the mix works really well. So I just recorded on my phone a really shitty marimba that they just had laying around at like the radio station at my college. And I just sampled each note, put it into Logic Sampler, and then had this. Oh, also put like a bunch of spreader on it. It kind of just comes in and adds a little bit of, you know, that nastiness. It's real. It makes the song sound more personal almost when there's something with a little bit of error in it. I think Aries does that really well with certain samples. So that's kind of what I was trying to emulate there. So this is what it sounds like with the guitars and the organ. So it's a nice mix. It kind of works. It kind of works. It's a little bit crowded. Next for the vocals. And these were hard. Aries has a really specific vocal cadence that is like extremely difficult to replicate. Luckily, we already have pretty similar voices. Pretty sure it's because we both listened to a bunch of pop punk growing up. Pretty sure he was like a Linkin Park guy. I was more of like Blink 182, Green Day, and like My Chemical Romance. He has a bunch of nice layering. A lot of high stuff, a lot of low stuff, so this is kind of what it sounds like soloed. This is so cringy, goddamn.
Don't wake me up, I'm way too deep, way too deep, way too deep. Won't calm down for a little while.
One thing I learned from doing this is that Aries uses an exciter on his vocals sometimes. I don't know if he still does it, but in some of the old YouTube videos I saw him using it. So at least on his old vocal chain he did, so I tried to copy that a little bit. I don't have all the plugins he did. I know he used to use Ozone by Isotope and Nectar, also by Isotope. Really good plugins. I don't have them. I really like trying to use just Logic stock plugins and doing the best I can with those. I feel like getting good with the tools you have can be really effective and a great way to save money and become really fluent with one thing. For now, this is what I got. Let's just put them all together, shall we? So on the master, did a little bit of EQing to take out a little bit of nasty frequencies here and there. This is where vocals can tend to get nasty. This is where some of my guitar stuff tends to get nasty, especially when it's distorted. I'll get like a ton of noise up there. Really gross sounding and really sharp. And we got a multi-presser, so you can watch it at work.
Down for a little while longer. How come all these calls going?
So basically the point of this multi-presser is to kind of bring the kick and the bass together so that they hit at a really similar level. And then I just gave a little bit more to the mids and highs. Nick, you want to fucking get out of my face? Let's go. Just fuck it, I'll keep it recording. Nah, dude, there's too much shit right there. You're gonna break shit. Yeah. It's Nick. Just stand right here. It's Nick. Alright, yeah, that's it. The goal of this multi-presser is a little bit of EQing almost. So you give it a little bit more to the highs here. As you can see, it's got 0.5 decibels of gain. When the bass and the kick come together, you just kind of want to make them hit at a similar level. This isn't what you want for everything, but for this track, I felt like it was the right call. Sean Devine puts it as adding a bit of glue between the kick and the bass. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. And then we've got an expander, adds to the dynamics. I put the ratio at 69 because nice, and also because that's what Sean Devine did, okay? I was just watching his How to Master in Logic Pro X stock plugins tutorial, and I kind of just copied what he did. Expansion, basically, past a certain threshold, it'll increase the volume.
My cash out for I touch down, know that all I can reach falling way too deep.
I have no idea how to use this plugin, alright? I just put it on there because I was told to. From when it's off and on,
My cash out for I touch down, know that all I can reach.
it's almost unnoticeable. So I've stopped using expanders, basically. I think it's supposed to help add to dynamics. I don't fucking know. And then a compressor, making sure the whole track, there isn't like one part of the track that's uber loud and one part of the track that's uber quiet.
Falling way too deep. Talk much.
So during the verse is basically, there's no compression happening.
Like touch, better
But
shoot.
then at the loudest points, there's about 3 decibels.
Won't calm down for a little while longer. How come I
This is an old mix and master. Nowadays, I tend to do a longer attack and a shorter release, just so that I don't mess with any of the dynamics at all. Again, I don't know if this is the right way to do it. Like, I'm just kind of messing around at this point, trying to figure out what sounds the best. With a long attack and a short release, it makes everything punch really hard. It almost like distorts a little bit and it gives like a nice like heft to it. So it depends what you're doing. And so the point of that is just to bring the level of the track a little bit more together so that this verse isn't super quiet compared to the super loud chorus where there's like the bass and all these snares and like all these instruments coming together. And then a limiter, just to bring up the gain to make sure the output's not crazy.
all these calls going to the same number? My cash out for
So the point of a limiter is to make sure it's not clipping on the output so that we're not like breaking people's speakers and that our levels are right for streaming. So this is a level meter.
I touch down, know that all I can reach.
This is only looking at RMS. We're getting really into the, I don't know if we're getting too specific here, but I may as well just put it in. So basically RMS is just taking the average of like the sounds before and after the current point in the song, I think. According to Sean Devine. I've gotten like most of this shit from Sean Devine. This metering system is almost arbitrary now though because streaming services use LUFS, L-U-F-S's, which is loudness units for something. I don't fucking know. Most of them run with, you need to be running at less than minus 14 LUFS here. We can pull that up. So if you just go to loudness meter,
Cash out
this is what it looks like. And what you'll do is start at the beginning of the song, press start, and then play all the way through, and it'll give you your integrated LUFS. And if that's less than 14, then you're not going to be getting any reduction from Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. And it'll sound exactly how it sounds in your mix when it goes into Spotify and Apple, or in your master, I guess at this point. If it's above negative 14 LUFS, it's gonna get reduced, it might get limited. I don't know how Spotify and Apple does that shit, but you're gonna get messed with a little bit. So you can actually turn that setting off for yourself when you're listening. You can, I think it's, the checkbox is like normalize volume for all tracks. If you just turn that off, then you can hear everything as people wanted it to be played. Yeah, so that's the track, that's the remake. I hope you got something out of this. I hope I was able to teach you a little bit. I hope I was able to break down this sort of process, or at least my process, at going about trying to recreate the Aries sound. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if you want me to do any videos, any breakdowns that you might like to see, or any remakes you might like to see. I'm pretty new to the whole YouTube producer thing, so like, I'm very open to suggestions at this point. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can about this sort of stuff. So I'm hoping I was able to impart some of this knowledge. Links to everything in the description, the full version's on SoundCloud, and there's a YouTube video as well on this channel. I go stream Aries. I got a new song coming out May 18th. Have a good day. Love each other. Stay safe. I guess. I still don't know how to end videos.
too deep. Won't calm down for a little while longer.
Man, I used to have like this outro, like back when I used to do like vlog videos where I used to say like, I'm Bryce, thanks for being part of my life, because the channel is called Bryce Does Life. Should I bring that back? Should I be doing that? Either, I'm Bryce, thanks for being part of my life.